Hey, you guys, it's Mr. Fleischman. Sorry I couldn't be there with you guys today. Um, but I want to walk you through this click button game. Um, After you're done with your data visualizations homework, or not homework, sorry, classwork, go ahead and go to App Lab and make this thing with me. Maybe you guys are watching this as a whole class right now, and that's great. So take a second to go to your Code Studio App Lab and let's build this game together. And I'm going to give you guys a couple extensions that you can try. And maybe you'll feel free after this one to kind of like um, venture off and do your own project here. We need to get more familiar with this app lab as we go forward because that's going to be part of our AP performance task. So let's go ahead and design the interface then. So we're going to need our click button. Just drag this button thing over here, and you can make it bigger right here by making and move it around, or you can actually kind of like change the height and width with these buttons. Okay, so or these fields over here. So the idea is button one. The text is what actually goes in it. And I'm going to kind of make that font bigger. There's all this stuff here that you can kind of, play around with. The font size right here, make it bigger. Let's kind of make it like that. That looks good. Okay. And then I think I had another, not text input, sorry. I had a text area. Okay. So you can do the same thing here with the text area. Let's say, what is it going to say? Let's say you have 10 seconds. And then, of course, you can make that bigger, smaller, set the background color. I'm going to keep it real basic because I think this video is only going to be 10 minutes at the very longest. I think you can even set the outline. That looks kind of hokey the way it is, but I'm going to let you guys style your games the way you want. So the first screen is basically just going to look like this. You actually need to add another screen too. So here's what you do. You go over to this little drop down and you have a new screen. Screen 2 is going to be where the results are displayed. Okay, so let's have a text area in screen 2. You just drag it over there. And then you're going to say, you got a score of, right? And I'm going to make this a little bigger. Hopefully you're kind of following me. And then let's have one more text area. And that's going to be where the score actually goes. This one I want to make a little bigger too. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys figure out how to kind of style this better. This is pretty nasty looking. I can align this to the center. You can do all kinds of stuff, change the font color, everything, right? You can click this and get like a whole like RGB like color wheel crazy thing, right? So it's kind of cool. So we have our two screens, screen 1 and screen 2. So screen 2 here, let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to make this font size bigger for when the score actually shows up. The score is going to show up in this box. Okay, so now we need to actually code this thing. Okay, so let's look at the code. Basically what we need to do is have a variable called var, right? And let's make the number of, it's like the click count, right? You can change this x to whatever you want to kind of help you keep track of it. Var stands for variable. The click count at the beginning of the game is 0. And then you see this little UI controls, right? We need on event, basically it means when this thing is clicked, when button 1 gets clicked, this is what I'd like to happen. I want to take this, you see this on event. So when button 1 gets clicked, I want this to happen. So what is it that we want to happen? We want the variable x to go up by 1, not x, but click count, right? So click count equals whatever the click count was before plus 1. Now, I want you to know that this doesn't actually mean that they're equal. It just means click count is going to be reassigned the value, whatever it was, plus 1. So it's not really mathematical equals. It's kind of like it's reassigning what click count is. So every time it gets clicked, it just goes up by 1. All right, so now basically all we need to do is go to this like set timeout thing. We need to kind of like make the game have a timeout, meaning like we have 10 seconds total for the game. And let's see if we can find that. It might be under control. No, yeah, it is. So control, set timeout. Okay, so this is going to happen after 1,000 milliseconds, which is just only 1 second. So let's add another 0 in there. This is 10 seconds. So it's 1,000 milliseconds. So what I'd like to do once this times out is I'm going to go set the screen, which is in the yellow stuff, I believe. See if I can find it. Set screen. We're going to jump to screen 2, right? So when this thing times out, I'd like to set the screen to, and I also need to kind of update that text box. So what text box is this, by the way? This is text area 3. So back in my code, I'm going to set the text in text area 3. Set text in text area 3. And I want that to read whatever the click count is. Okay. And I don't know if it's going to actually take the word click count. Let's see. It might not, because it wants is that going to work? I think that's going to be okay. Click count. Did I spell it the same? All right. So let's see if this works then. So before I kind of talk about how this thing works, let's actually run the game. All right. So I'm going to play real quick. Hopefully it runs out pretty soon. My finger's already getting tired. Pretty good, 59. So that did work. Okay, so you can kind of look at this code, pause the video. Just remember what's happening here is this on event means when button 1 gets clicked, all you're doing is just updating the click count. This is actually simultaneously running. This whole like 10,000 milliseconds, which is 10 seconds, is constantly counting. And then once it runs out, the stuff in the green happens. We're going to set the screen over to screen 2 and set the text area in 3 to whatever the click count ended up being. So that's pretty simple. So a couple challenges you can try is have the click button move around the screen every time you click it. Right? Click me, and then it jumps to somewhere else on the screen. Right? I'm going to let you try to figure out how to do that, but like it's probably going to be set position, right? Or yeah, maybe try this set position thing every time the button gets clicked. That it moves that particular button to a different place on the screen. And there's like random numbers you can pick, right? If you go to the math thing, you can pick a random number ranging from 0 to 1. So you might want to like, here, how about this one? Random number between a minimum and a maximum, right? So like you have to figure out maybe how big your screen is. Like if you go to the design, you can kind of see, do you see those numbers, X and Y? Looks like the screen has like 320 wide, and how tall is it? 450, right? So maybe you can move that button around, move the button around the screen every time it's clicked, or you could make it a bit of a game where you have to like click a certain button on the screen, and there's multiple buttons and they're all moving around, right? And you have to click the green one only. And if you get a red one, if you click the red one on accident, your score starts over, right? So I just want you to take this basic template and get creative with it and try to build something that's, a little bit cooler, and just start getting used to this idea of the on event, getting used to this idea of the var or the variable. That's just stores some information for you. Okay. And, variables can be more than just numbers. You can have them be words and all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so this is actually this app lab. You can pretty much design some really amazing things. I've seen some of my colleagues, other teachers make some really incredible apps. So don't just think it's just like for really basic, boring stuff. It can go a long, long way. And we're going to talk about what all this stuff means and these symbols and all these crazy things. So just kind of don't worry about that yet. We're going to have a programming unit that's going to last like 2 or 3 months that we're going to get really good at programming. For now, just have some fun with it and build your confidence. And look forward to seeing you guys on Wednesday. I hope my son's still not sick. I'm going to miss you guys. I'll see you on Wednesday. All right. Take care, you guys. Talk to you soon.